Today, a new leader sits atop the Republican field for the first time. In a while. The CBS News New York Times poll out today shows Ben Carson has surpassed Donald Trump, now leading 26% to 22% nationwide. But because the margin of error is 6 points, the two are close to a statistical tie.
These numbers come as Trump faces a public fact check after claiming that he shamed automaker Ford into scrapping plans to open a truck assembly plant in Mexico. Here's Chief White House correspondent Major Garrett.
Mexico took a Ford plant. I've been very tough on the Ford. You've heard me talking about Ford. I heard last night that Ford is moving back to the United States. They may not do that deal. I get credit for that. I should get credit for that.
Credit for what? Ford will still spend $2.5 billion in Mexico to build 2 new engine and transmission plants and modernize an existing one. Ford is moving about 1,000 truck assembly line jobs from Mexico to Ohio, a decision the company announced in 2011 after Ohio offered $15 million in tax incentives. One of Trump's Republican rivals, Ohio Governor John Kasich, helped engineer the return of Ford factory jobs.
I don't call anybody a liar. Look, what I can tell you is you don't win jobs through bombast, yelling, or working people over, beating them up.
Ben Carson now leading Trump in Iowa and in the CBS News New York Times poll nationally.
I'm Ben Carson.
Released this new TV ad. The theme, the former neurosurgeon and political outsider is not impossible.
The political class and their pundit buddies say impossible. He's too outside the box. Well, they do know impossible. Impossible to balance the budget, impossible to get border security, impossible to put aside partisanship.
The poll shows Carson with a 22-point lead over Trump among Republican evangelical voters and a 9-point lead over Trump among Tea Party voters. In just over 2 weeks, Trump has lost 12 points among evangelicals and 8 points among Tea Party Republicans.
All right, CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris joins us now from D.C. to talk about these surprising numbers, Steve. So with the next Republican debate just around the corner, one day away, in fact, how big is this shift? Is this a big deal?
It's a huge deal. I mean, the first 2 Republican debates really have focused on Donald Trump as the front runner, and now we have a new front runner, at least according to this poll, which is Ben Carson, and we haven't seen a lot of scrutiny of Ben Carson. So it'll be very, very interesting to watch the debate tomorrow night and to see how the other candidates and the questioners train their questions and comments toward not only Trump but Ben Carson.
You know, Steve, it's interesting when you look at some of the voter groups in this poll. What stood out to you in this?
Well, Major mentioned some in his piece, but it's also very interesting to me, not only that Trump has lost so much, but you look at evangelicals, and Carson has gained 10 points among evangelicals just in a couple of weeks, 9 points among Republicans who call themselves very conservative, and 5 points among Republicans who call themselves Tea Partiers. So he's up pretty much across the board, Carson is, and that's just, it's a very interesting turnaround just in the last couple of weeks.
So then how would you interpret these numbers? And I don't know if you can, but would you say that this is an example of people who were enamored with Donald Trump who are now losing or shifting their support to Ben Carson, or people who hadn't made a decision and now they think maybe Ben Carson might be a good option?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's still October. It's still early. You look at the numbers. There's a question in this poll that says, is your mind made up on the candidate choice? 28% of Republicans say yes, which means a lot have not made up their minds. 71% haven't. So this is still very fluid. I think people are looking at Donald Trump. You know, Trump hasn't really been saying that much new in the last few weeks. He's been sort of consistent with his comments during his events. You know what you're getting with Donald Trump. Now you have Ben Carson out there. He had a pretty good performance at the last couple of debates. People are listening to him. Republicans are, and I think are liking what they're hearing. They're also, what you're seeing with these 2 gentlemen is that they're both outsider, non-establishment candidates. And so Republicans who are looking for an outsider may have been drawn toward Trump, but now they're looking toward Carson as an outsider. And there are a lot of things they like about him, it seems.
Steve, I wonder, you know, the tone was relatively civil between Donald Trump and Ben Carson early on. Do we think with these numbers now that might change a little bit?
Well, it's already started. So there was some polls in Iowa at the end of last week that showed Carson taking the lead there, and you saw Trump sort of go after Carson's personality, suggesting he's even lower energy than Jeb Bush, which is one of Trump's signature criticisms of Bush. It's a suggestion that they wouldn't be tough enough dealing with foreign leaders, unlike Trump. You're going to hear him, or you heard him today. Trump was going after Carson on Medicare, suggesting that Carson would end Medicare, trying to scare some voters on that. And you also heard him raise questions about Carson's religion. Carson is a Seventh-day Adventist. Not many people know much about that strain of Christianity, and so he's sort of just getting that out there for people to start asking questions about it.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Looking forward to the debate. Steve Chaggaris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
So don't forget, the next GOP debate is tomorrow night at the Coors Events Center at the University of Colorado in Boulder. We will have live analysis before and after the debate right here on CBSN starting at 7 Eastern.
And CBS News will be hosting the next Democratic debate in partnership with Twitter. You'll be able to track how the national audience is reacting to the onstage action in real time. You can watch the debate live on Saturday, November 14th, right here on CBSN, beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The hashtag to follow will be DemDebate.